Hello, friends. I'm Andrea Morris, and welcome to another edition of Spill the Wine, featuring Leaning Post Wineries. And we had talked earlier about the reds, about like the whole like red room of as an analogy. So now we're actually going to be focusing on red wines. Then this episode,
the 50 Shades of Red.
50 Shades of Red. Yeah,
like we are entering the red room officially.
Red room. You can tell we're having a little bit too much fun here, but if you missed our first episode, the last one that we just did with Leaning Post, and you have to listen to that, come back to this one because we had so much fun that it couldn't be contained in 1 hour. So now we are ready to roll with some of the most fabulous reds I'm sure that are in the area. So let's get the ball rolling, kids.
Oh, amazing. All right. Yes. So, if you listen to our first episode, you know we are a huge Chardonnay and Pinot Noir producer. So let's get to...
Not that huge. We're small, but like we love Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Yes, correct. Yeah, by huge, I mean we love it. By production, I mean we're really small. But we... Yeah,
but in your own minds.
But in our own minds, we are huge.
Massive.
So we have loved that. And so we got through the Chardonnays in the first time. So we're going to get to what I think for Nadia and I is still the king of reds for us. I mean, we absolutely love Pinot Noir. I mean, it is just like we were talking about what some of the things that Chardonnay does. I mean, I think especially Pinot Noir really does this amazing thing where you are getting all the full flavor, the complexity, the interest of a full-bodied wine, but yet at lower alcohols, and it's fundamentally kind of medium-bodied, right? So it's like all the things we love about truly big wines, but in kind of a medium-bodied package. That's our favorite thing about it. And in particular, it's what kind of drove us to this little weird far west end of Niagara in Winona was Pinot Noir in particular. Like Chardonnay actually can make a whole bunch of different styles. And it isn't as fussy on exactly where it's grown. It can just make something kind of big or kind of fruity. Pinot Noir is the opposite of that. I don't know if people think of, I always have in my mind, like, I don't know what the term is, but I have in my mind, like grape variety personalities. So I always think like Chardonnay is like the head cheerleader. She's like really popular, but also really nice. And she's dating Cab Sauv, who's like the quarterback. Cabernet Sauvignon is the quarterback. And then her weird...
I've literally never heard this before.
So her weird little emo brother is Pinot. He's the guy with the green hair and the
Oh my God. No, Pinot Noir is that, or it is, this is a person of substance. Like,
yes, when you talk to him.
What women want. My God. When women want this
Pedro Pascal.
Yes. Some like there's depth, there's texture, there's more to it.
Absolutely.
Than superficial muscles. Like it is.
That is correct. The Pedro Pascal of wine.
But that's what I'm saying.
Noir.
See, I'm saying that too.
It's not an emo. Come on.
Absolutely. Okay. You obviously have forgotten what it is like to grow Pinot Noir. So yes, to grow. I'm just saying that this guy, he is a little bit emo, but will probably start one of the great companies that will change the world. I'm just saying he could be both. Well, the thing about Pinot is it's very finicky in the vineyard. So when everybody talks about it being the heartbreak grape and it being difficult, what they really mean is it loves particular conditions. And it happens that this little sweet spot in Winona is built perfectly for that. It loves things that are not too cold, not too hot, not too anything. It loves this sort of middle ground where it can slowly but beautifully ripen. But it is kind of tricky. So that's why we say all those things. No, as a wine, it is probably one of the most complex and interesting things. And again, as Nadia was saying, it's a person of substance. It's not just superficial. It has these beautiful, deeper flavors. And when you look for them, it has layers. It's like, maybe that's not the right one, but it definitely has layers and is just amazing. And that's why we enjoy it so much. And it's also perfectly suited to where we are. So that's why we love it. And we decided, obviously, because we are a Pinot and Chard producer, we've got two amazing Pinot Noirs in front of us. And they are both single vineyards. So again, if you listen back to our first episode, we were talking about how with the Chardonnay, depending on where it grows, it really shows that. I think Pinot Noir shows that even more.
And Leaning Post right from the beginning has been that finding those unique plots of land across Niagara. It drives me absolutely nuts being married to this gentleman because every once in a while someone will call and say, "Hey, Ilia, I got these great Pinot Noir. It's from this vineyard," and he gets excited about it. Like even just this last year, he was like, "So I have 3 single vineyard Syrah." And I'm like, what do you mean 3 single vineyard Syrah? How am I going to sell that in the tasting room? Like, that's nuts. That's crazy. But
I think there's always room for a little bit more Pinot or Syrah.
I mean, I agree. So this first one is from the Beamsville Bench sub-appellation. Really, really interesting.
What year is it?
So both of the Pinots we're trying today are 2020. So we are just coming to the end of these wines in our tasting room, but I just thought, these are the last few cases of these wines, but they're showing so beautifully and so wonderfully that I just thought this was the optimal opportunity. So Hamaris Vineyard is great vineyard right Beamsville Bench. It's actually across the street. I mean, I'm going to give a shout out to another winery, but Back 10 Cellars, if you guys have ever been there. This is almost basically across the street from them. So lovely spot right up on the bench. I think this is almost prototypical Beamsville Bench Pinot. It has this amazing, yes, you have sort of cherry, kirshy, and kind of plum flavors, all of that, raspberry, all those things. But there's no other way to put this. I think when you taste it, as you're trying it right now, I'm going to say it's almost like eating an entire wild strawberry, including the vine, and then chewing it with a bunch of gravel.
You make that sound so yummy.
Yeah, and I know. So I'm going to say something as well. For the listeners here, Pinot Noir, I'm going to say something funny because you're going to agree with this. As you get into Pinot, the funniest thing about Pinot is even a friend of mine, he used to be our assistant winemaker, we talked about it. And one day we realized, we looked at each other and we were like, the flavor descriptors for Pinot Noir outside of the glass are anywhere between bad and disgusting on their own. You're like, oh yeah, I love it. Yeah. Roll, rotting leaves. Oh yeah. But somehow in Pinot, for real, all the flavors that outside of Pinot, you'd be like, I would never eat that. In Pinot, everyone shakes their head like, oh, I love that. That's my favorite. It's all earth and dirt and mushroom.
And mushroom and herbaceous notes to it. Okay, clearly, he's the one who makes it. I'm the one who sell it. No one says desiccating leaves.
Totally disagree.
Corpses.
I love that.
Yeah.
But that's the amazing thing about Pinot Noir, because for real, when you taste it, it is so amazing and beautiful and sweet and gorgeous in the glass. Just separately, they don't sound super appetizing. But honestly, once you really try the wine, it is amazing how all those flavors work together.
And it's funny because it does have that earthiness on the nose. Mm. And then you kind of would go like, oh, am I going to drink dirt? But it's not. It's just so very fruit forward, and it's really one of those few wines that actually has that complexity. That what you're smelling isn't what you're tasting.
And that earth and that herbaceous note. It's like crushed tomato leaves. Like it makes me feel like it's summertime and you're picking some beautiful fresh tomatoes with a glass of Pinot in your hand. Like it's beautiful.
But it's almost like when you're describing it, Ilia, about how difficult it is to grow. It's almost like the wine reflects that. It's nod to the terroir. It's like, I'm going to have that on the nose so that you know what we went through to get to here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what's amazing is, as you were saying, I find Pinot. Sometimes you have to really go through the whole process. It's not just about that nose. Like the palate will almost, as you were just saying, especially this wine, will have there's quite a bit of fruit there. It's just in real life, to me, classic Pinot is half fruit, but half sort of not fruit. So a whole bunch of things. And sometimes those things come out of the palate that weren't there on the nose, and vice versa. So I just think that is why once you start getting into Pinot, it is one of the great grapes. You'll have a great experience. Like for those people who haven't, it's not simple. It's complex, but it's really amazingly satisfying. What I love about this wine is at the end of the day, I do still think there's a lovely approachability, almost like a warm blanket by a fire thing. I know that's a weird thing to say, but for this wine, it has that. Like you at the end, you're like, oh wow, that was really just beautiful and warming and lovely, and it really leaves you with these beautiful like flavors and impression. I think that's the part that I love about Pinot too.
And it's about that complexity that when you come back to it, and as you're enjoying that glass one sip at a time, you're like, oh, am I getting tobacco on it now? Oh, am I? Oh, what's there? Oh, like it evolves. Like it is not that. Yeah, it's that person that's gonna like slowly open up to you. But the more you listen, the more you're intrigued, and the more you want to be a part of that glass and that story. And that's what our Pinot. That's what we try to do with our Pinot.
It's a beautiful Pinot. Like I'm sold.
Amazing. And yeah, so and we just really wanted to kind of juxtapose that here with the Pinot from our property. So this last one was from right outside of the town of Beamsville Bench. Our place, as we've said many times, is in Winona, so we're about maybe 15K away from the other vineyard and much closer to the lake. Our particular vineyard's a little flatter, a little kind of more open. But much closer to the lake. And what you'll see is in this next one. So this is our Sawchuk Vineyard Pinot. And again, like our Chardonnay, it's kind of the top of our range. It is our sort of one of our top red wines, our top Pinot for sure. What you'll really notice with our place, though, is there is more like upfront fruit immediately, like a ton more. There's almost like
it's almost like fig.
Yeah, and like a mulberry, blackberry kind of thing that the other one doesn't have. And then there's less sort of that like tomato leaf and more like sweet herbs like oregano, thyme, those kind of things.
It's also a brighter color.
It is. And ours, again, the cool thing about these that I really love to show is, again, when we talk about terroir, so our wine here is 0.5% alcohol lower, and also the acidity on our wine is about 0.5 gram higher, but yet the actual grape growing and everything was the same. So that's what we mean by terroir. Like literally, they're both Pinot Noir, grown in the same year, all that, but the result is quite different. And you end up with a very different spectrum of flavors. Like you end up with, ours is also, I think, much more kind of actual like, mineral and kind of stony in a way that our Chardonnay as well was. There's a certain like fresh stone. We're talking about that sea kind of thing almost, even in a red wine, which is unbelievable. And then when you see that through thread, so when we talk about a place in terroir, what we mean is across grape variety. Like it's amazing, right? The Chardonnay had that. The Pinot, there is some of that, right? And that's what we talk about. We want people to realize like a place has sort of a signature and maybe is trying to tell you something if you'll listen, if that makes sense. So sometimes you have to learn those things. And that's what I love about this wine is it's got like amazing complexity and probably a little more like length than the last one. You notice like as I'm talking to you and I'm hopefully everyone's still listening to me, that you realize you're still tasting the wine. Like even a minute, sometimes a minute and a half after you've swallowed the wine, you realize, wow, I'm still tasting this wine. Mm-hmm. And that's a level of complexity that really separates sort of good wine from great wine.
So one of the things that I want to talk about is that when we take these wines out on the world stage. So we're, Ilia is actually heading to Singapore next week. We have these wines in Denmark, in the UK. We're working on a deal with Israel. We're working on all these things. And when we pour these wines to international sommeliers, it's never, oh, Canada, I've never heard of this. It is hands on the table. This is Canada? Oh my God, this is Premier Cru level Burgundy, but not Burgundy. And
at prices that are like a quarter of that.
Yes, like that, like nobody, when people think Canada, they don't think beautiful world-class wine region yet.
But they will.
They will.
When they listen to this podcast, they will know.
They will know.
how could you not listen and want to come out here?
Well, and honestly, like what we've seen is a huge change, especially in the sort of like we've been open to the public about 10 years. And in that 10 years, honestly, like it's like night and day. Like a little bit every year, we have more converts. It's amazing. Like this winter, as an example, like even with Americans and the American market, like, 10 years ago, nobody was talking about Canadian wine at all. This year, we were meeting with a whole room full. I will shout out to again Thomas Batchelder, but also the folks at Le Clos. There was a whole room full of American buyers and interested people who are coming up here, learning about Pinot and Chardonnay, and just getting excited about this. Like we're now seeing it worldwide. Again, UK, London, Denmark, all these places are really getting excited about Canadian wine. Because I do think also with global warming, what's starting to happen is, I was reading a really interesting article by Jancis Robinson, actually, who's a famous wine writer in the UK. But she was talking about the fact that with global warming, she feels, and I agree with her, that true cool climate wines, like what we make in Niagara, are going to be even more prized because they're even rarer as things get warmer. Like you're not likely to see anything like what we're putting out of California anymore, if it ever was there. But even Oregon's getting too warm. Places like that are like, as we're warming, even parts of the south of Burgundy are getting really warm. So as all these parts of the world, we are truly cool climate wines. Like even Nadia and I we're traveling through Burgundy last May, and even we poured for some people and they were kind of like, it's like the Burgundy I remember. You know what I mean? Or it's like, but you guys, or it's like we're trying to create a style, but we just have this natural electricity that I think is going to really bring people around even more, because it's just so rare now in a warming world to see that.
Absolutely.
And I also think too, when people come to this region, they'll find out that there's so much unity here. Like all of the wineries truly support each other. And that was evidenced on our very first podcast episode when we were at Cornerstone and Sarah from London Born came in. It's like, it's so the helpfulness and just the back and forth. Like, I'll recommend this winery, I'll recommend that winery. Everyone here really truly works together.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so unique and what's so wonderful about this region.
And when we leave this country, it's like, what flag am I waving today? It's not the Leaning Post flag. Maybe it's the Ontario flag if we're in Quebec or in BC or in Alberta. Sometimes it's waving the Canadian flag and going and talking to Soms in New York City. And they're like, hey, so talk to me about Canada. I'm like, okay, well, it's huge. Like there's 3 distinct wine regions and these are all the cool things. Like we are passionate about the wines that we're making and we want to get that message across. My neighbor is not my competitor. My neighbor, like we're in the trenches together, doing the thing that we love. So we're in it together.
And that's such a wonderful thing.
No, and I was saying earlier before we started the podcast, we were talking about this before we started, but like Nadia and I've worked in some other places in the world and I've traveled a lot. We've been to a lot of wine regions. I do think one of the most unique things about Ontario, and I will say Niagara in particular, is we do like our neighbors and we really work well together in a way that I haven't seen in too many other regions outside of kind of Ontario. Like I find people really love, like we genuinely want to work together and do our thing. And we, as what Nadia was saying, like we believe in our neighbors. We believe in there's no other way to put it. Like anybody who sets up shop and wants to make wine in Ontario is a true believer.
And the cool thing as well, that maybe a lot of people don't know, there are tastings where all of the bench producers get together and we'll do Riesling, we'll do Chardonnay, we'll do Pinot Noir. We do different varietals. And these are winemakers tasting each other's wines, learning from each other. So there's this beautiful knowledge transfer from the people who have been making wine here for 20, 30 years to the new people who are coming in, who are learning. We're trying to get better together, and a rising tide, floats all boats. That's what we truly believe in Niagara.
I love that. Yeah. And let me just say, going back to this Pinot for a second, the more that it's becoming like more spicier on the nose.
Totally.
It just like I'm really getting much more spice, but and fruit, it gets fruitier and fruitier.
Well, and what you're seeing is what's crazy is, so this wine is actually, this particular bottle has been open for 2 days. And
Wow.
then we're swirling in our glasses, and then it opens even more. And that tells you what a really, truly complex wine is it just keeps unfolding. So that's what we've been talking about.
Do these wines age, Ilia?
Well, thank you very much for asking me, Nadia. So, yeah, they age very well. So yes, probably no. So getting in all seriousness, that was awesome. In all seriousness, what I love about our cool climate wines as well, why we're probably such true believers with Niagara is, and Ontario wines and cool climate wines, is they age in a way that maybe some warmer climates don't as well. There's some wines that are really impressive for like 2-3 years, but then maybe they're kind of more impressive then, and they kind of fall apart quite quickly. The amazing thing about our wines is because of that acidity, that natural coolness, that sort of structure in the core, if anything, they age a very long time. Like, you think about it, we're just coming to the end of our 2020s. We're about to flip to 2021s for reserve wines. And and we're just releasing these wines, and they've been in bottle for like a year and a half. And the reason for that is because we're finding that they're just kind of getting going at this age. Like, we have been pouring our very first wines that are now sort of 8, 9, 10 years old, and they are just entering prime window. So yeah, these wines anything we make here will age for you. Honestly, best way to put it is, you will probably run out of patience before the wine goes bad on you. It's more, it's really more about what age and sort of profile you like.
I'm staring at this glass of this
All right, yes.
deep red Syrah.
So now
It's it's tempting me.
So now we are getting into, we're going to do a couple of bigger reds here. Because I think there's, for some reason, I'm not really sure why, there might be a bit of a rumor that Ontario doesn't do big reds. That's largely a myth.
Challenge accepted.
Yes, exactly. That's one of our favorite sayings in the winery.
That should be on your T-shirt for your winery.
I think it's coming.
Yeah. Challenge accepted.
Yeah. That's true. I think it's coming.
Nadia is actually choking on wine, listener. You can't see this, but
yeah. So I think we should do that. So
I get one free.
Awesome, amazing. We will send you the free T-shirt.
Yay!
So what we have realized is we weren't maybe growing the right big red in the right place in Niagara. And over the last, especially 10 years, we've gotten really good at that. And now we're starting to see, even on the bigger red front with Cabernet Franc, with other sort of big Bordeaux reds, with Syrah, that we are starting to really show that it is pretty amazing. So this is probably the best example of that. I really love this wine. It's from a vineyard called Kazan. It's the other side of Beamsville. It is not on the Beamsville bench. It is kind of right across the street from that. If I'm going to give a shout out to another winery, Black Bank Hill. But if you've met the guys there, amazing, Taylor, all those guys there. This vineyard is literally next door. So it kind of backs on to where their building is. It's the vineyard next door. We are weirdly building, as a very weird little bit of local gossip, we are building sort of a tiny, maybe bit of the Rhone Valley on the east side of Beamsville. I don't know why, but there's like a group of 3 or 4 producers doing like Syrah, Viognier, Mourvedre, all these things. It's been very interesting to see. So as we get better at these kind of things, then we just produce better wines. As we find little micro plots of what's really awesome about our area, then we start making these wines. So Nadia, why don't you,
this one?
So this is 2020. Nadia, why don't you tell the story about the very first year of me making this wine?
So first I'm going to do a tasting note, because I think people want to, they want to know what the wine tastes like already. It's in everybody's glass, right?
It's like a punch in the face.
Absolutely. So I like to say Syrah, and we call it Syrah because it's like Shiraz, but like the old cooler climate variety of Syrah Shiraz. But it's still a mallet, but the mallet's covered in flowers, so you don't mind quite so much when it hits you over the head. Beautiful red fruit on the nose, on the palate. There's this lovely like white pepper, floral notes, like lavender on the palate. give me a peppercorn steak and a glass of this, and it is like fireworks going off in my mouth. I love Syrah. So now for anyone who's still listening that maybe is thinking, I don't know if they're really dedicated and if they're passionate about this project enough, I'm going to tell you the story about our 2012, which was the first year that we made this Syrah. So Ilia was looking for the longest time. He had done something ages ago, 02 Syrah?
02 and 02 to 04, basically. I'd spent like 2 or 3 of my first years in winemaking, making a Syrah. And then after that, I didn't have any. So it was about a 10-year gap almost where I didn't have any to make.
But, you know, it was his first really great international review from Jancis Robinson and like best wine in Canada. So he's like, I want to make Syrah again. So he finally finds somebody who's willing to sell him some Syrah, Les Kazan. And he says, you know, listen, he calls back a few days later and said, I apologize, Ilia. My entire vineyard was dropped by a large winery. I need to sell the entire vineyard, and nobody's calling except for the Syrah. So if you're just too small, so if somebody's willing to take something else, unfortunately, I'm going to have to sell to them. And Ilia said, wait a minute, what do you have? So he called, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 winemakers that he knew and said, this is a great vineyard. It's a wonderful terroir. And so he sold 85, 90% of the vineyard in order to secure this Syrah. So he said, okay, Les, I've got buyers. Can I have the Syrah now? And now that wasn't the stupidest thing that we did.
That was only the second dumbest thing we did to make this wine.
So now let's fast forward to harvest of 2012. I get a call from my midwife that says, we've got you booked to have your baby tomorrow morning. So I called Ilia and I said, great news, we're having a baby tomorrow. And he said, what every husband should say, oh my God, that's amazing. What did he say?
We're picking grapes tomorrow.
What time? We don't have equipment yet. So we're getting our Syrah pressed in the morning.
Could we just leave like maybe 45 minutes or an hour later so that I can make sure that they've got it, like they're loading it into the press and doing it?
Because he wasn't going to leave that to chance. So I drove myself to the hospital, getting a speeding ticket along the way.
And no, she didn't. He didn't let her off. He gave her the ticket because he didn't believe her.
Yeah. So my son was born 2.5 hours later. Ilia was there in time, just in the nick of time. And we have probably 10 cases for Ruslan, our middle son, who was born on the day that wine was pressed. So this wine just has that. There's something beyond the amazingness that is in the glass.
It's really your baby.
There's sentimentality that goes beyond that. And I mean, the wine is freaking delicious as well. But yeah, we have done the silliest, the craziest things in order to make this dream a reality. And that's just kind of one of the fun stories. But yeah, such a good wine.
Oh, this Syrah is absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank you.
I am in love with this. Now, what's your price point on this bottle?
So it's 55. So
it's worth every penny.
Worth every penny, and it's interesting because we've poured this around the world, and everybody says that.
Yeah.
That it's 55. I mean, in other markets, just to let everybody know, I try and explain that as well. Our wines, they're not always the cheapest on the block, but we feel like we give value for money at every price point. Like a great example. So our Sawchuk Pinot runs $70 here in Ontario. It runs so anywhere between about $100 and $120 in other markets. And again,
and people still think that that's great value,
and people still think it's relative value. So the same thing here. Like we believe value isn't only about the exact dollar amount, but we feel like people should have that reaction. If you're spending $60 or $70, you should have the same reaction. You should say, "Wow, that is worth every penny." Not if there's any doubt, then we feel like we haven't done our job. Does that make sense? As a winery,
exactly,
we love
this is the kind of wine that I would buy and then invite someone over that I knew loved wine and say, let's drink this together, because it's like when we did the episode with Taylor at Black Bank, he said like wine is like music, and like drinking wine is like listening to your favorite song with someone that gets it, and you're like and when you're playing your favorite song when you're drinking your favorite wine, it's like that's like the orgasm of the universe, right?
So I'll tell you.
Definitely.
So I'll tell you a funny story. Ilia had hurt his back, and he was inside the house, kind of laying down. I was in the tasting room, and this gentleman came in, and I was pouring through the wines, and I poured through the Syrah, and all of a sudden he goes like this, and he's like all the hair on the back of my arms is like standing up, and his wife was like, "Oh my goodness, you aren't seriously crying right now, are you?" Like, she was joking, but he's like, he was a little bit. That is, I've never found something that elicits a physical response, an emotional response. I mean, they became wine club members that day. They still are to this day. You know, that's what we're trying to do. And I yelled at Ilia and I said, "Listen, there's a gentleman outside that just cried at your wine. Get your ass off the couch and go and say hi."
And he's like, "I don't want to."
Yeah. So I did limp over, and they're wonderful people. And of course, it was amazing. So that's what we want. I mean, we really want to show that passion in every glass and every bottle from us. That is what we are all about.
It's fully evident.
And so hopefully, yeah, if you get nothing else from us, then you get that. So
on the note of passion.
So we are, last but not least, we're doing because it's a 2-part episode, we're doing a bonus wine. So, so part of that is, so we decided to do what we do, not every vintage, but when
when a vintage screams for it.
Exactly. When things are perfect and all the things line up, we do a wine called Cuvée Heritage. And what this is this is truly our top blended big red. And 2020 was a fantastic vintage. So we really, really love this wine. I'll give you a little story about this one, which is
so peppery.
It's so intense and interesting.
Nose,
yeah, absolutely. Lovely, interesting, intense. The crazy thing about this wine is I haven't had a wine quite like this before. It has 4 grapes in it: Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Syrah. The crazy thing to me is I've never experienced this as a winemaker. Normally, when you make a big wine, you are usually building it around a particular grape or a particular source. So you're, for example, you'll say 50% Merlot or something, you'll put it all together, and then you'll build the other pieces around it. And my assistant winemaker and myself, we did, not a joke, probably 150, 170 iterations of this wine, trying to use a lot of Merlot, a lot of this, a lot of...
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Research,
it was very hard work. But it was, we did all these versions. We were like, it's not working. I don't know. Nothing's working. And then sort of in exasperation, I said, well, we got 4 pieces. Why don't we just do like 25, like 4 pieces, equal parts, and start with that, which almost never works. And then we were like, wow, that's better than what we've been doing for the last 2 months. And then this wine, the final was just a tweak of that. So this wine is 29% Cabernet Sauvignon, 27% Syrah, 25% Cabernet Franc, and 18% Merlot. And we are getting a pretty big reaction, I think, from the people here right now. Yeah, from Lukas. He definitely closed his eyes. So I feel like we've got the winner.
When
here,
I was tasting it, I felt like a Batman comic strip where it was like bam, pow, wow. Like these flavors were just all hitting me in the face. This is an absolutely spectacular wine. It's just so full of flavors and just so fruity and
this is my Heathcliff. Yes. Running after Catherine in a foggy moor.
Yeah.
It's freaking good.
Like as Nadia said, it's tortured and epic, which I don't know why that works, but it does.
Every time I said something good, I was saying something bad. Like it's tortured. It's like it's tight. It's like there's tension there. Like it just, I don't know.
It's like, oh my God, the bondage is too tight.
Maybe that's saying.
I don't even like that. That's not.
I love it, exactly. But I love it.
Exactly. It's a bit like that. So we have no, and it's so true. So we just wanted to end on that note. I think again,
God, this is like climatic wine.
This is not your Tuesday
No.
regular, everyday drinking wine. This is your special occasion. You know what? This is, celebrating something. Sometimes it is just also celebrating making it through a freaking horrible week.
Or
and
making it
ending-
through like a horrible day. It's like, you're like, you know
Exactly.
what? I deserve to celebrate me.
Absolutely.
Totally.
You don't need a special occasion. You can celebrate yourself with this wine.
Mhm.
No, and absolutely, and that's what we want. We just want people to really feel all of that, and yeah, get to where we just are getting our entire passion kind of into one place.
That's a love letter to wine right there in that bottle. That is a love letter to wine. It is absolutely stunning. Like,
Perfect. Well, I can't do better than that. So.
well, there you go. No, that really is like absolutely an amazing way to finish on reds. Like, I'm completely blown away.
Amazing. That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want people to leave feeling satiated, that they've really experienced Niagara. It doesn't matter if you're local or if you're international, that you really get what we're trying to do in Niagara in a glass. No other way to celebrate this region than by, what grows together goes together.
Oh my God, we have so many like catchphrases in this podcast. It's like
That's right.
instead of
absolutely, yeah.
mindfulness, it's winefulness.
Mindfulness,
Yes, yeah. It's like, honest to God, that is one of the best wines I've ever had in my life.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Absolutely stunning. Like, I'm like, listener, Leaning Post could be your entryway, or your when you're leaving, this could be your last stop. This is an absolutely fantastic winery. By the way, I never asked you where you got the name from.
Oh yes, thank you so much, Nadia. Where did we get the name from?
At the end of every row of grapes is a post that's leaning. Just as we can't do it on the grapes can't do it on their own, they need the support of the posts and the wires. We need the support of friends, family members, financial institutions to help make our dream a reality. So that's what it was. It was so hard to come up with the name. And one day I remember just looking, we were looking at pictures. I saw a Leaning Post and I went, "What about Leaning Post?" And he goes, "I don't hate it."
But no, it honestly,
that's amazing praise.
Yeah.
Normally he was like, "No,
Yeah.
no."
I don't hate it.
But what we realized is it was like in 2 words, sort of our entire story. Like it was, we build it from the ground up. And how do you say that kind of in 2 words? So we felt like it was the epitome of kind of what this whole project is about. So
It's amazing. Like, honest to God, you guys are fantastic. You're fantastic hosts. Your wines are mind-blowingly great. And I'm so glad that we had to do 2 episodes with you
thank you so much.
because one just wasn't enough. So,
Just like one glass is never enough.
no, one glass is never enough. And the thing is, it's like, when I'm at home, and I'm like, what am I going to drink tonight? And I go, oh God, if I open a bottle of wine, I'm going to drink the whole thing. Because I know I will. Like, if I start getting involved in a TV series or something, it's just like, oh, I'll have another glass. Oh, I'll have another glass. I'll have another glass. It's like, and then I'm like, I don't need to shame myself for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful thing. And we are so fortunate to have so many great wineries in this area. And you guys are stellar. You guys are absolutely a treat to be with. And I'm so happy that you were I'm glad to be a part of this podcast, because 2 episodes, we could probably do 3.
No, thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
But you know
appreciate it.
what, listener, be sure to visit our show notes, and you'll get to like see photos of the wine. You'll get to get specifics on the years and the like, and also the website to reach these guys and come and have a visit yourself, because they are great hosts. I will vouch for that. So you also get a recap on everything. And don't forget to like and follow Spill the Wine, because we need you to help us grow and to get more and more people to come out here to this area. We're on Facebook at Spill the Wine Podcast. We're on Instagram, Spill the Wine _podcast. So you can also message us if you have any questions or any places you need us to visit. And don't forget, if you're coming out here to visit, particularly like in the summertime, which is approaching at some point, go to niagarabenchlands.ca, and you'll find out a lot of other places to stay, a lot of other things to do. And we are sure that you will have a great time out here and continue to come back and be a big supporter of Bench Wines. So just want to say cheers. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.